Welcome back to the Pooling Around Show. We've got a special guest, Cotton, Robert LeBlanc, Bobby, one of the most famous road hustlers in the world, but definitely in America. And he's written some books. We've spent an hour with him before. Go back and watch that. But we're going to pick up right where we left off, and we're just going to let him talk. He's one of the most entertaining people in the game of pool, and you'll be glad you watched this. So stay tuned.
Well, how y'all doing today, man?
Good. What have you been up to since we talked to you last?
Oh, nothing. I jotted down 7 or 8 little stories that were kind of interesting, that were kind of funny. I was watching your interview with Jim McDermott, and that was really, really cool. That was a good job, and it's cool when he mentioned all these people that I knew from years ago. It's kind of funny when they mention people that you wouldn't think anybody would even know other than me. You know what I mean? Because I was around for so long, and so it was pretty cool to hear the things you were talking about. You know.
Yeah, he was a great interview. I mean, we could sit there like you. I mean, we could sit there and talk with him for days and days, and he'll have all kinds of stories. And
you can kind of see there towards the end, he's kind of fading out. We got to do like a 5-parter where
with Jim.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I was. It's funny. I was watching another podcast with I guess it was with CJ, and he was interviewing people and stuff. And it's funny to hear how they talk about these old timey pool players. I give you one example. Like, you've heard of Jimmy Spears, Flyboy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I played Flyboy in 1970, and that's when I was hanging around with Junior Weldon. So I went to El Paso to play him, and we were playing on a valley bar table with a big cue ball. And I swear, I never missed one ball we played like 10 or 15 hours. I never missed one ball and got beat up. I mean, he beat me out like 4,000, which is a lot of money back then. And what happened was, I'm pretty sure, is every time he broke the balls, the cue ball would get near the center of the table. It was just like, stop. So he had the table juiced up with a magnet underneath the slate, like an electromagnet, you know, like they do at the dice tables, you know what I mean? It's pretty funny. So I lost about 4,000. So I go back to Phoenix and tell Weldon, I said, what happened? He said, I'm going to go play him some. So Weldon goes over there and he gets beat too. So he leaves, he lost 2,000 or 3,000. So then we went back to Phoenix, and Ronnie Allen goes over there and he beats Ronnie Allen playing even on the bar table, right? And Weldon, at one time, was one of the top 5 players in the world at one time. So it's funny because CJ was saying that I think that he gave Flyboy the 7 in the break and beat him down there in New Orleans or someplace. But at one time, CJ might not have been him playing even, you know, back in the day. You know, it's kind of funny.
Now, look, my mouth was wide open. You were talking about a valley cue ball or a ball with metal in it, and you've got a magnet under, like, basically the very middle of the table, sucking after the break. The cue ball just gets stuck there.
Right.
And it was the heavy cue ball, the big one.
And it's electromagnet, so you got to turn the magnet on and off whether you're breaking or not.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. But that's how they do it, those dice tables, you know what I mean? They call it, you know, it's called a juice joint is what it's called. Oh, getting back to the pool players, here's a question. If you had to bet on one pool player, no matter who they played, you couldn't ask them who they're playing, but you had to pick one pool player from back in the day, now, or whatever. Let's say back in the day, who would you pick?
You asked this question the other day.
I did? I can't remember. I might have had.
Well, I can't remember.
Pool player for what? To do what?
To win, to get the money. And you wouldn't care. You had to bet on the guy, and he wasn't going to tell you who he was playing, but you had to take half his action, and no matter who he plays.
I don't remember. I don't remember his name.
I'll tell you who it would be. It'd be Junior Weldon.
Junior Weldon, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Because he got the money like 99% of the time. Every time he played, it was pretty awesome, you know. But my favorite player, I don't know if it matters, but my favorite player of all times on bar tables was Wade Crane, Billy Johnson. And I've seen them all play. And I've never seen anybody play as good as Billy Johnson ever on a bar table with the big ball.
Why do you say that?
He was so solid, Sean, that he was like a rock at the table. He never missed a ball. He had by far the best break of any pool player that ever lived. He'd break the balls 1,000 miles an hour, cue ball, stop right in the middle, and he just played perfect. I played him one time in California. I might have told you, but I don't know if I'll tell you again anyway. So I'm in the bar at Frank's Tavern. They had a bar table. There were 3 or 4 bar tables with the big cue ball. This is where Big Sergio, this is where everybody hung out at the time. This is 1970. So Billy comes to town. He gives Sergio the last 2 and beats him. Then he plays me 8 ahead for 400, which was a pretty good size bet. So he wins that match, and I'm broke. So I go out and sit in my car, and I'm like trying to figure out how I'm gonna get some more money. So these 2 backers come driving up, and I said, look, I got a game. I said, I got a pretty good game. If I win, I can win a lot of money. And they said, well, who are you playing? I said, doesn't matter who I'm playing. I said, I got a good game, which was a lie, right? So I said, but the thing of it is, I said, give me the 800. He's gonna give me 2 sets. I said, give me the money, and y'all can't come in until the game starts. So they said, okay. So I go in there and play Billy some more, and I got 6 games ahead, racing, going to 8 ahead, right? So the backers come in, they saw who I was playing, they got kind of mad, and they said, well, you can't beat this guy. I said, look, I'm 6 games ahead, going to 8 ahead, right? So that now they felt all happy because they knew I was going to win the money. So I broke the balls. I didn't make a ball in the break, and Billy ran 14 racks on me to win the match. And the backers chased me around the bar trying to beat me up. It was pretty funny, dude. But he ran 14 racks on me to win the money. Yeah, he just played so perfect. It was crazy, you know.
What's the worst game that you ever got in?
Oh, this is a great story. So back in 1975 or 76, I was in Corpus Christi, Texas, right? This is really crazy. And it turned out good, though. So I'm in Corpus Christi at this bar, and I beat this bar owner for like $400. So there's this little short man sitting on the sideline watching, kind of reddish hair, you know, he looked like a little hillbilly. And he says, and I was playing good at the time, and he says, I'll take the 8 and the break and play some for 50 a game. I thought, well, I'm gonna take a shot at it because I was playing good. And if he doesn't break around, he can't win, right? So we start playing, and we're playing about an hour, back and forth, and he's not showing too much speed, right? Then all of a sudden, Jimmy Spears walks into the bar, Flyboy. He calls me over. He says, man, are you lucky? I says, why? He says, well, we've been trying to trap this guy. He's a plantation owner, blah, blah, blah. And he said he's got thousands of dollars he'll lose if you can beat him. And so now I kept playing, and a few minutes later, this guy starts showing a little bit of speed, so I quit him. So he says, why are you quitting? I said, I don't like the game. So I said, I'll play some more tomorrow. So we met up the next day, and it was Sydney, a guy named Sydney from Hazard, Kentucky, who was in probably the top 5 bar players in the country. And he come in the bar to play me the next day. He was with One Eye Tony, Flyboy, and him. So I busted all of them. I got lucky and I beat Sydney playing even. It was a tough game, but I busted all 3 of them. Yeah, you've heard of One Eye Tony, right?
Tony.
One Eye Tony. He was one of the best players in the country at one time. He was from Kentucky. He was a great player. Died in a car wreck.
Which eye did he have?
I'm sorry, what?
Which eye did he have?
Apparently the good one.
Well, yeah. Well, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. So anyway, but that was probably the worst game I've ever had, actually, being in a trap, but I escaped the trap, you know what I mean? But I can't think of the worst game. I mean, I enjoyed all of them. You know, I enjoyed all the games, but, of course, I lost at times and I won at times, but I liked them all,
I got one. What was the time when it was toughest to get out with the money? We've all seen the scene where you win, but they're not happy about it. What was the time with the dough?
Well, the thing of it is the most proud I've ever been for my pool game is when here in town about 7, 8, 10 years ago, they were talking about pool players. I wasn't there, and the one guy says, what pool player has more nerve than anybody you've ever met? And he said, me, Robert LeBlanc. So that kind of made me feel good because I played in all the rough joints. So I never had many problems getting out with the money because everybody knew I was with a gangster or I was friends with them. You know what I mean? So I never had many problems. I've been robbed a few times with guns, but
Well, you're not a big old tush hog either. You're not a giant guy.
I'm a small guy, but everybody knew that. They knew I wasn't afraid of anything, and the people I knew was the baddest people on the planet. So it wasn't a good idea to like I see people now get stiff for this money. Back in the day, dude, you paid off. I'll tell you that right now. You didn't lose and not pay off.
So back when you were traveling, what was the best city? Where was the best action? Just a city that you always go back to. And
I was only there for about a year, but I hung around this really, really rough, probably the roughest bar in Michigan, but Detroit was the best of them all. And other than that, there's another couple, probably Reds in Houston was a great town, was a great pool room. It was upstairs. And that's where
Detroit so good?
Huh?
Why was Detroit so good?
They had a pool hall there in the rack. And all the multimillionaires hung around there, Jew Paul, Freddie Salem, and Cornbread Red, and me, and the Jonesy, and all the champions was there all the time. And everybody, I was playing $1,000 a game there, and that was cheap, so it was amazing. Yeah. And that was in 1980. And I heard it was even better like into the 70s, but I wasn't there in the 70s, But that was probably the best pool room in the country for many, many, many years,
Did women ever try to distract you while you were playing?
Listen, I've been married 4 times, dude. I stay distracted with the women.
We know his vice. We know his vice, Chris. It's definitely women, right?
Right. I know.
You can't imagine. I've got more stories about the women than I do have about the pool. I've had some great. I've been lucky, with being with a lot of pretty women. Probably the dumbest thing I've ever done. I was in Detroit. And I met this girl. Her name was Stacy, and she was probably one of the prettiest girls I've ever seen in my life. She's blonde, and she was dating or living with a guy that owned a karate school. That was the baddest guy in Detroit, fighting wise. And we hooked up, and we went out for like a month, and we were going to the same bars that they hung around at. And if that guy would have caught me, he would have killed me right on the spot. But it was worth it. It's got stories in my book also. Huh? It was worth it.
Did you ever meet a woman who played pool?
I'm sorry, what?
Did you ever meet a female pool player you fell for?
Let me think. No, not that I fell for. I knew Lori Shampoo pretty well, and she was a little cutie at one time, but she was dating Freddie Salem, who was a multimillionaire at the state course there in Detroit. And Lori was attractive. She was pretty, but then she got strung out real bad on heroin. She started looking. Her whole face changed. It was really weird how bad she started looking. But I'm sure being on heroin is why. But she was attractive. But I was with a woman pool player for 8 or 9 years. I can't say her name, so I can't say who it is. She's still mad at me about the stories I put in my book. I had to change her name in my book, but
we're all Googling.
Huh?
We're all going to start Googling.
You're going to have to read the book.
I am going to have to read the book.
You read the book, right? You read the book.
No, I have. Last time. I'm embarrassed. But look, I looked up your book, and we're going to start doing screen share soon where you can pull up pictures on the screen. Your book's $298.
No, 298 pages.
No, it's $298.
You go on Amazon, and there's one book on there that's almost $300.
No, you gotta be kidding me.
You gotta look it up. I'm gonna pull it up. I'm gonna do my first screen share with you.
That is crazy. Yeah, I don't know why that is.
Where did I go?
Amazon.
People buy my book on this. There's a place called the Book Patch. It's $29 on the Book Patch. It's a soft cover, but it's nice. It was done really, really, really nice.
I need a sponsor to read your stuff.
No. Give me your
Chris can pull it up so much faster. Watch him.
son. Text me your address and I'll mail you a book this week.
Okay.
So just text me your address.
Well, I'll read it.
Huh?
I'll read it.
Believe me when I tell you, when you start reading it, you won't put it down because it's really exciting, and it's hard to believe the stories. I mean, it's really crazy. You know, it's really crazy, but it was a lot of fun to do. I'll tell you how I remember all the stories is I get a big giant map of the United States and lay it out on a table. And I've been to every city in the country. I didn't go to a lot of places like back around Baltimore. There's nothing up there. Nobody played pool for money, you know, too much. And I just look at these different towns, and every town I'd go to, like Wichita Falls, where I played Junior Norris, and here and there, and you know, different Arkansas, and it would jar my memory of the people I played in those towns. You know what I mean? I can remember them like they were yesterday. You know, I played Country Calvin but you know who he is, right? You heard of Country Calvin?
Yeah.
I played probably 5 times as a kid. We're the same age, and we're good buddies. We played 4 or 5 times and around Arkansas and Memphis and stuff, you know. But he was a good dude. Still is, I think was.
What made him so special?
Country Calvin, his name's Calvin Harcrow, and he played real good. I got lucky and beat him a couple of times. I don't remember exactly if he ever beat me. He might have had. I remember. I usually remember who beats me. I don't forget that because it's kind of a sore spot in my life. I hate to lose, but anyway, but Calvin played every living human. He bet his own cash. He was honest. He wouldn't dump, and he played real good for the money. He liked playing like 3 and 4 days. And he played good too. And he's just an all-around good guy. You know, I know him real well. He was living down there somewhere in Arkansas recently, I think. What's the name of that damn city he's in? I can't remember right now, but Calvin's a good dude, you know. But
Right.
I'm sorry, what?
I got a question about, have you left the country to play pool?
I went to Canada one time. That's the only place I've ever been. Well, Mexico, of course. But I went to Canada to play a guy named Winnipeg Bill, who is some champion snooker player, which I play okay, but I can't beat those guys, you know. And I went up there to play him, and he wouldn't play. He's supposed to be a pretty good scorer up there through Seattle. Was it Vancouver up there? What is it up there? Vancouver, I think. Anyway, but he wouldn't play when I got there. So it was a wasted trip, you know.
Let me see that ring you got. Put that back up there. What is that?
This ring?
Yeah.
You want to hear a great story about this ring? You're going to die, dude.
Let's go.
1972 or 73, I had a backer. His name was Walter Bowles, and he had a little grocery store in Blackfish Lake, Arkansas, which is about 50 miles from Memphis going toward Little Rock. Walter Bowles played probably about the 7-ball under me or whatever. Like, played pretty good. If he was playing somebody his speed, he played real good for the money. He was a giant high roller, and he staked me to play probably 100 times. We booked one loser in 10 years. He had this real funky bar table in the back of his grocery store, and every pool player alive had went in there to try to trap him. You didn't have to try to trap him. Just go in there and he'd play something. It wasn't no trapping to it. He liked to gamble, and he bet high. So one time we're in the store, and this guy comes in. He's got Texas license plate on his car. So he comes in, and me, Walter, and there was a guy named Bowlegs Bill that was the best player. He played about a little bit under Calvin, but he was a farmer that drove a combine during the summer for chopping cotton, right? So the three of us were sitting there, and he asked us, which one of you guys want to play some 9-ball 30-40 a game? So Walter's I'll play. So Walter gets him and beats him for like $500 or whatever. So he quits Walter, and he's, I can't play you. He says, I'll pick one of these other guys, me or Bowlegs. And I was only like 22, and Bowlegs is like 40, and he picks me. So I beat him for $200 or $300, and then he quits, and he was broke, and he wanted to play for this ring that I'm wearing, right? So I put up $500 against the ring. So I won the ring. So he leaves broke, lost his ring. So we're sitting there talking, and I said, look, I like the ring. I'm going to keep the ring. And since we put 500 up against the ring, I'll give y'all like 170 a piece, and I'll just keep the ring. And they said, okay. So the next day I went and had the ring sized, or it was too big for my hand. Next day I had it sized, so I go back to Walter's store, and I said, well, it looks nice. I mean, they said, oh, we love it. And I said, I had it appraised, and they said, well, how much was it appraised for? And they're total hillbillies. They had no idea about the price of jewelry, nothing. They don't know about jewelry, right? I said it was appraised for like $5,000, and they're like, $5,000. They said, well, you owe us money. And I said, no, dude, I'm just bullshitting. It's not wasn't 5,000. So Walter was the greatest. I'm gonna tell you something. Me and Walter made thousands and thousands of dollars. We booked one loser. You got to hear the story. And, have you ever heard? Well, I'll tell you the whole story. This is the greatest thing ever. You're not gonna believe. So there was a club that got robbed.
Cotton, before you start this one, you're moving your phone, so it's
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me see. Hold on one second. Hold on one second. Oh, now we're good, right?
Yep.
Okay, so there was a club there called the 149 Club in Hughes, Arkansas, to where they all got robbed. I'll tell you that story in a minute. But it was a country western bar with a couple of bar tables. So there's always something going on there. It's where all the bookmakers hung around and all the gamblers out in the middle of nowhere. So Jerry Bento, who just recently died, he was living somewhere in Georgia, was a really, really good bar table player. And he could beat anybody at times. So I played him, and I'd driven in from somewhere in Missouri, and I was tired, but whatever. He beats me for like $1,000. So he was with this pool player backer from California named Popcorn. His name is John Cole. You ever heard of him?
And I recently heard how he got the name Popcorn.
You did?
Uh-huh.
Well, it's I tell you how he got it. He used to put a cue ball in the sock and hit people with the cue ball. That's how he got the name.
That's not what I heard, and that's even better.
Who'd you hear it from?
I don't remember, but I heard he knocked some guy out and then poured popcorn on him. But it sounds like he popped him with a cue ball in his sock.
He always would put a cue ball in a sock and hit you in the head with the thing. But let me tell you what happens. So Jerry beats me for $1,000. Popcorn's with him, and I said, we'll just play something. This was like in the daytime. They said, let's go to Walter's grocery store, and we'll play some more there. So we get to the store, me, Walter, the owner, the bookmaker, the guy who had all the money, my friend, and Popcorn and John and Jerry Bento. So we get to the store, and for some reason Jerry didn't like the table, and we didn't play. So Popcorn starts to play Walter. So Walter's beating Popcorn. Walter, like I said, Walter plays good. If he's playing somebody that plays his speedy, he plays good. He's a good player. He plays hard for the money. So he wins $1,000 back that I lost, and then he's winning what rest of the money they had, right? So Jerry, the pool player, the one that beat me, he gets Popcorn over to the side, and they start arguing about it. He says, you can't play. And meanwhile, so no, they go broke. And now Popcorn's borrowing money from all these hillbillies in the store, and these are bad guys. I mean, these guys like to fight, and they fight, and they're tough. These are tough fighting bad guys, right? Bunch of damn strong arm hillbillies, right? So Jerry says, Popcorn, you got to pull up. We're losing money. We're owing this money, and they're standing there arguing. And I'm standing right between them. So all of a sudden, Popcorn takes a cue and hits Jerry over the head, busts the cue on top of Jerry's head. Jerry falls to the floor. So now 2 or 3 hillbillies grab Popcorn, and they drug him outside. In the front of the store was this big tall sign that said Bowles Grocery. So Charles Lucas, who's one of the baddest guys in the area, he goes to his truck and gets a rope and throws it over the sign, and they strip Popcorn naked, and they were going to hang him out in front of the store. I swear to God, it's a true story. So now they got the rope around Popcorn's neck, and I said, wait. I said, I know this guy. I said, he's an asshole, but you don't want to kill him. So they took the rope off his neck and kicked him in the ass and sent him down the road walking. Yep. True story. Wow. Broke that cue right on Jerry's head. Bam, dude. And I was standing. If I didn't know it was going to happen, I would have tried to block it, but he hit him right top of the head with that cue stick, Popcorn's still alive. I think he lives in Kansas City someplace. He's still alive, of course. A year ago, he got a hold of me some kind of way. I don't really, I don't know too much about him anymore. But he was a local around Southern California for years, and he played a little bit. He played fair one pocket, but couldn't beat nobody that could play, But he was
played partners games like you and a millionaire versus some other player and a millionaire?
Did I or have I?
Both.
No, I never played. When I was in Memphis 10 years ago, when I went back to Memphis, people in the South gamble different than they do anywhere else. Everybody plays for money. It's not personal. You go back there, you play with your buddies for 50, 100 a game or whatever, which is a pretty good bet. And you lose or win, you go out to dinner, you go have a beer together. It's not like personal where it is a lot of places. Like people get offended if you want to play. I'm like, I'd rather lose money to a person I like than somebody I don't like. Wouldn't you? So we played a lot of partners, one pocket back there, 50 a man, 100 a man at the pool room there at Rousey's place, which was a lot of fun. I miss being back there. It was good. It was a lot of fun 10 years ago when I was there.
All right, you get one Scotch doubles partner on a bar table. Who is it? You got to play every limit human. Who's your partner?
Guys that play now?
Right now.
Oh, gotta be Shane probably. But if I had to choose somebody from back in the day, it'd be no doubt it'd be Wade Crane, no doubt. And I've played everybody. There's a few guys I didn't play, like I didn't play Earl, but I played Matlock and Joe Salazar and One-Eyed Tony, Larry Hubbard. And I got a list like about 50 people I played, and Billy played the best in my opinion. Although Salazar said he beat him 2 or 3 times, which he wouldn't lie because he's not he wouldn't lie about it, but I don't know how he can win. I'll tell you that. As good as Billy played outside, you can beat the guy ever. I mean, I just don't see him losing.
All right. So, said you got 7 stories written down. How many have we covered?
Well, then, have you ever? I'll tell you a funny story. You can actually Google this. This is crazy. Jim McDermott was talking about a guy named Denver Joey Torman. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
You do? Google this, and you're going to die when you see this. Denver Joey played probably the 8 ball under me, or maybe more. I don't know. He played pretty good, but I beat him pretty. Joe Salazar in Chicago staked Denver Joey to play me, and I beat him for 1,000 or 2 back in like 75 or whatever what it was. So he kind of like falls off the face of the earth. Denver Joey did. Nobody knew where he was. So listen to what he starts doing, and he got caught. And you can Google this too. He moved to Florida, and he would hang around a Walmart parking lot, right? And this is a true story because you actually can see him in jail doing the interview in jail. So he goes to the Walmart parking lot, and he finds a kid that works there, and he says, "I'll give you $20, whatever, for your name badge." It says Walmart John Doe on the name badge, right? So people would come up to the Walmart, get out of their car, and Denver Joey would walk up to him, and he'd say, "Listen, my name's Pat." He was going by the nickname Plasma Pat, right? Because of plasma TVs. So he'd go up to these people and say, "Listen, we have an order of too many TVs that came in. If you want to buy one for like say $200 or $300 or whatever it may be," because back then they were expensive, like a couple of thousand. He said, "If you buy a TV, so I'll go give me the money. I'll go in the store, get the TV, meet me around back, and I'll give you the TV." So he got the money up front. Of course, he left. He just kept the money. Never gave him the TV, of course. So he did this for 2 or 3 years and got away with it for 2 or 3 years. And they finally caught him. And you can actually Google Plasma Pat, and I'm pretty sure you can still get the the video of him in the police station being questioned.
Wow,
that's crazy.
Yeah, and Jim McDermott knew him. I said, "How the hell does he know Denver Joey?" Because Denver Joey is probably, there's been a few rats involved in pool, and Denver Joey was one of the biggest rats of them all. Like he was like not trustworthy at all. So.
Well, he called him that. He called him that.
Huh?
He called him that in the interview.
What, a rat?
A rat, something else.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I knew him well, dude. I knew him real well. I knew Denver Joey well because he hung around Dallas, and I was around Dallas for a long time, and he hung around Dallas. So I knew all the guys, I'll tell you another great player that people don't talk about is Amarillo Andy O'Gean was a great player with the big cue ball. He was in the top 5.
Amarillo Andy.
Yes, he played top notch, dude. he come to Memphis when I was probably about 22 or 23 on a bar table. I beat him in Memphis, and after I beat him, I give him I busted him. I give him probably $200 walking money, which was kind of what they did back in the day. So about 7 or 8 years later, I was in Phoenix, and they said Andy's living in Albuquerque, and he wants action. So Cowboy Jimmy Moore was there, and Jimmy Moore's buddy named Fez. All the old-time champions were there, and Jimmy Moore's a champion, of course. So I drove to Albuquerque to play Andy, and I was playing good, dude. I was playing like as good as you could play. So I get to the bar. I broke and run like 6 or 7 racks starting off, and he just drowned me. He beat me for like 4,000, 3,000. So when it was over, he beat me like I think it was 2,500. I don't remember the exact number, but it was a couple $1,000s. Or I think it was 3,000. And this is 1974, 75 or whatever. So when it was over, I was broke, and guess what he did? He gave me $800 walking stick. $800, dude. And there was another guy that was there, a pool player from New Mexico named Wolford. So he got there and played me, and I won all my money back from a different guy. So I wound up breaking even for the trip. But Andy gave me $800. You know, Mike Massey knows Andy real well. Also, Mike and Andy are really good. Are good friends.
So when you were in Oklahoma, did you ever meet Eddie Carver?
Eddie Carver.
Yeah, said he was real tough with the big cue ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said
Where's he from? Where's he from?
He's from Oklahoma City.
I don't know how I don't know him, because I know everybody from there. I mean, that was back in the 70s.
The story is, if you bet a nickel, he dogged it. If you bet anything over $10, he was never a money player, so he might not have played him.
I'll tell you something.
Cool background like you.
Pool betting your own money is a big difference when knowing if you lose, you sleep in the car. It puts the pressure on you. You know what I mean? So it's a big difference. I know a lot of guys that played good for $5 and $10, and I make them bet $40, $50 a game, and that was a lot of money back then. I keep repeating myself, but that was a big bet back then, and I could just watch them just get weak. You know, they just couldn't take the pressure. You know.
What about Amarillo Slim?
Never been around them. Never been around them. I know he couldn't play at all, but he liked to match up, play one pocket. He used to get like 15-3 from different people. He couldn't play, but he liked to gamble. But I never got a chance to play him.
St. Louis.
I'm sorry, what?
St. Louis.
St. Louis is a personal friend of mine. I was with him 2 days before he died at the casino here in Las Vegas, and I know Louis really, really well. We played 2 or 3 times. I beat him playing one pocket pretty easily back in the day. And on the bar table, we never played. I think I could have beat him on the bar table. I couldn't have beat him on a 4.5 and 9 at the time. Maybe at different times I might, but I was probably the underdog playing on a 4.5 and 9. Because when Louis was playing good, he played as good as you could play. I mean, he was a great player. But I ran into him in the casino. I was playing blackjack, and I hadn't seen him in a couple of years. He'd come sitting down. I know Louis really well. He sits beside me, and I say, "Hey, dude, what's up?" He said, "Oh, man," he says, "everything's going really, really bad." I says, "Well, what's the matter?" He says, "Well," "I've been getting beat on by everybody I play." And he went to California, blowed like 20,000, and he was in the tournament. He got knocked out, couldn't make a ball. He says he's playing horrible, right? And he had married this woman, and I think her name was Helen, but I can't remember her name. I don't think about her anymore. But he married this woman that was like, it looked like his grandmother's, because we're sitting there playing blackjack, and this old woman come walking up and put her arms around the back of his neck and would start kind of like rubbing her face on him. And then she walked away. I said, "Who the hell is that?" Because Louis always had like hot girlfriends. I knew all his girlfriends, right? And he had some good looking girlfriends, because he was a real handsome guy. He looked like Elvis Presley when he was young. And I said, "Who the hell is that?" And he said, "That's my wife." I said, "No." I said, "Dude, she's old. I mean, she's like 70 looking, but she wasn't that old, but she looked old." So, and she was staking him, and he probably, in about a month's time, he blew like 30,000 getting her money. So the next day they go back to Phoenix where they were living, and Louis was, the day after that, like 2 days later, Lou was down watching TV, sitting in a big lounge chair, like an easy boy chair, and supposedly blew his head off with a shotgun. which was not true because the pretty much common knowledge was they say that her son killed him. Louis, and it was never proven because I did do some research on that down there. I went down there, as a matter of fact, and they did some research and they interviewed the guy and he got away with it because she had money. But I knew Louis would not. Let me tell you something. Louis would not kill himself, believe me, because he don't give it. He didn't care about losing money. I mean, he wasn't so depressed he'd kill himself, But he was a good.
He would have never done that. Is what the story is that he was not that type of person.
No, never in a million years, dude. Never. He was crazy. He didn't care. I mean, he didn't care about money. One time he was at a tournament. He sold his cue to 10 different people, and at the end of it, he just broke it in front of everybody. That way, nobody got it. But he sold his cue to 10 people. But Louis was a trip, dude. But I'll tell you something. He could play it when he was in stroke, dude. He played really good. But he went down to Shreveport about 100 times and played buddy with the 7, got drowned every time. But buddy gave everybody the 7 ball that went down there to Shreveport.
Cotton, do you follow current pool right now? Do you keep up with the players?
A little bit. There's a little bit. Yes, I do. I like.
I want to know who you pay attention to right now.
I don't know why he's boring to watch, but I like watching Federer because he plays so good. I also like to watch who Joshua Filler, another guy that looks awkward when he plays, but he never misses a ball. And who else? I enjoy watching Tony Showman play one pocket because he shoots at anything and when he's making them, you can't beat him, And I enjoy watching. I like watching Shane, and a few others like Alex. So there's several. I watch when there's tournaments and stuff, and it's free. I watch it, So I enjoy it. But 9-ball's so boring, dude. I just,
Well, what about the ladies?
Huh?
What about the ladies?
I enjoy watching them too. I enjoy watching little Christina Federer's girlfriend play. She's a good player. And I was watching lately, who I think is cute as a button, is Beat, the little road runner.
Yeah, Savannah.
She's cute, man. I tell you, she's so cute about it when she's playing. You can tell she loves to play. She runs around the table to the next shot, And she actually plays pretty good. I was watching her play a match with some other girl. I think I talked about this last time. I'm telling you, she was in the bank pool tournament. And I'm telling you, there's certain ways to bank the balls. That's correct. And there's 2 or 3 ways to bank balls. You can hit them easy, you can hit them hard, blah, blah, blah. She shot all the balls the right way because I know quite a bit about banks and the correct way to shoot them, even though there's different ideas on that, but whatever. But she banked the balls like crazy. I couldn't believe it. I said, who in the hell is teaching how to bank these balls? I mean, it was pretty wild.
Yeah.
She's
fun to watch.
We interviewed that
right now, Chris.
Yeah. We interviewed that little Sophia Mass.
Yeah, she's another one. Yeah, she beat her twice in the finals. Yeah, I heard. Yeah.
And she's gonna be tough too.
They're cute too. They're just so cute. Sophia wears that little knit cap on top of her head when she's playing. Sometimes, I like watching them because they're fun to watch. And they play good and they love the game. They love to play. I like it. I think it's fun.
Yeah. Yep.
You guys give me just a minute. You guys go ahead. You guys just give me 1 minute. I'll be right back.
All right. So where are you at, Chris? You're in Tulsa? Where are you at?
No, I live close to Lawton.
Oh, that's where you used to have the mayor there. Used to be a big gambler. He used to gamble on pool years ago, like 100 years ago.
The guy that's the mayor now, Stan something or another. He the town that I live in, I'm about 25 miles northeast. I'm in a little country town of Sterling. There's like 500 people here, so I don't know if you ever watched any westerns, but my father-in-law is in the movie Lonesome Dove.
That's one of my favorite movies of all time, dude. It was like a 30-hour series.
Yeah, her dad is Ermoke in the movie. He was one of Blue Duck's gang,
That's my favorite Western of all times. It really is.
So
Robert Duvall was in it.
yeah, so the scene where Robert Duvall, where Blue Duck's gang is chasing him across the plains, and he stabs his horse and gets his horse down there to cover, and then he gut shots that old boy in the belly. Well, the big Indian on right behind him that runs up to him, that's my father-in-law.
Oh, really?
So he was the one that was when Robert Duvall rode into Blue Duck's camp to save Diane Lane. He's the one. He got shot. He was.
Oh, funny, dude.
Yeah, he was scalping that old boy whenever he got shot, and then he's the one that raped Diane Lane in the movie. So yeah,
she was a hottie. She was a hottie too. Dude.
Yeah, she still is for her age.
She still is. She's pretty, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a person you probably haven't heard of. Do you know where Durant, Oklahoma is?
I do. I used to live there.
Do you remember Roy Falcon?
Roy Falcon, no.
He beat everybody coming through there, dude. He was a great player. He beat everybody coming through there. He was probably the best player in Oklahoma at one time.
Well, there's another guy that lived just north of there named Gary C. That was supposed to be one of the best players. She passed away.
I think Roy played better. I think Roy Falcon played better. Here's a goofy story. I'm still mad about it, and this is like 1971. I just got done beating Junior Norris, and I told you I ran like 13 racks on him on that 3x6. So I was playing on a 3x6 for like 6 months, right? The 3x6 bar table. So these two hillbillies that lived there said, "Listen, I got a game for you over in Durant playing Roy Falcon." And I said, "Okay, let's go." So, may I die if I'm lying? You're not going to believe how crazy these people are. So I said, "Come pick me up in my motel." So come pick me up. And it was like a Pinto car. Like it had like no room, real small. So the two guys, the two backers, picked me up. And there's two kids sitting in the back seat. Young guys, like 19, 20 years old. And I'm like, what the hell are these guys going for? So I get in the car, and they put me in the middle of the back seat, sitting on a hump. I swear to God, I remember like it was yesterday, Susan. I'm sitting on a hump. So the kids, they had like a third grade education. Every time we'd go by a billboard, they'd read it like Lucky Strike cigarettes, Miller Lite beer. Like, shut up. So now I'm on the way there. Listen, I swear to God, it's a true story. So now on the way there, right when we leave Wichita Falls, we stop and get a case of beer. I'm like, this is not a good trip because it's about 200 or 300 miles away where we're going, right? So I sat on this hump for like 3 hours in between these two drunk kids, reading billboards the whole way. By the time I got there, I was a nervous wreck, dude. I was like a nervous wreck. So we get to the bar where Roy Falcon played. We go in the bar. There's a 4.5 by 9 bar table. So I told the two backers, I said, listen, we might as well just start the car back up and go back to Wichita Falls. This table looks like a 6 by 12. I said, I got no chance to make a ball. They said, oh, no, you'll get stroke after a few games. I said, dude, I've been on a 3 by 6 now for 6 months. This table looks like a 6 by 12. I said, I can't make a spot shot because back then you played push out, right? So I got up there and played Roy. He robbed me, dude, beat me. I don't think I ever won a game. So on the way back, they're all mad at me. You dogged your brains out. I said, dude, I told you guys that I couldn't win. I said, I knew I couldn't win, and you forced me to play. I said, I told you that I couldn't make a ball. You would not believe how big this table looked. I'm telling you, it looked like it was like a 6 by 12. And when you feel like that, you got no chance. I couldn't make a spot shot if you give me 20 tries at it. So anyway, Roy Falcon beat me. But Salazar went through there and got beat also. This Roy Falcon could play, dude. I think he was from Anchorage, Alaska, I think. But
Anything
I had no
to do with Falcon Q's?
No.
Go ahead.
This was in 1971.
There's a lot of money in around that town of Durant. A lot of chicken fighters. Not anymore, but they had two of the biggest annual chicken fights down there. They had
a couple of chicken fights. I didn't like it.
No, I didn't either. But they gambled.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Kids walking around with wads of money in their pocket. I just go to the bar and wait for them to come in.
Yeah.
So,
who was your best road partner? Your best road partner. I know you've had a bunch.
I've only had like 2 or 3. I had my best friend is in life. He died about 7, 8 years ago. His name was Roy Mullins, and he was from Chicago, and he was the nicest guy. He weighed about 130 pounds, red hair, hillbilly, in total hillbilly, and I can't go into what he used to help do, but he was, you want to have him. He's a good guy to have to watch your back. Is all I can tell you. And we made so much money together. We never booked a loser, I don't think. Maybe not, but one or two. And we made money. The first place we went was in Gadsden, Alabama. I beat a guy for $4,000 cash in a brand new Lincoln Continental that we sold for $7,000 that day.
4,000. You cut out 4,000 cash.
Yeah, 4,000 playing banks and 9-ball both. And then they put the car up and I played for the car, and I won that. And we sold the car. But Roy was the best guy in the world, in the whole entire world. Him and his brother Donnie owned a little pool hall in East Prairie, Missouri. And I'd go through town and say, Roy, my car's running bad. I'm broke. I need money. I need to go somewhere and try to play somebody. And he'd say, well, here's the bankroll. And he had a brand new 1975 black Coupe de Ville Cadillac. He'd give me his keys and say, just take off. When you get back, just holler at me. Nicest guy. And he saw me play really good several times. I mean, I think he was with me when I beat Matlock playing even over in Mountain Grove, Missouri. And no matter who I played, I'd say, what do you want to do, Roy? And he says, let's bet it all, Robert. Whatever much money we had, we'd put it up and play a set for it, Usually back then 10 ahead, but so we made money. He had so much confidence in my game that made me play good. When you're with somebody like that. And I traveled with Billy Teeters for a while. That makes cues up in Northern California. And the only pool player, Billy played Ferry, like the 800 meter, 7 or whatever. Then I was with New York Blackie for about 3 or 4 months, 6 months in Mississippi. We never booked a loser. You heard of New York Blackie? Right?
New York Blackie. I've heard the name, but how do you get a name like New York Blackie?
He was the best player in New York for like 30, 40 years. And his name's Al Bonifay. And he was Buddy Hall's running buddy and Mary Kinnison's running buddy. But I knew Blackie really, really well. And I beat him 3 or 4 times in California, which I didn't have to, but I did. And I played better than him with the big ball, but he played really good. One time we're in Mississippi. Huh?
Why'd they call him Blackie?
I think he looked Mexican, Puerto Rican. You can actually go. You can Google him. He's all over the place. Al Bonifay. But he was a good dude. A lot of people didn't trust him, but him and I made money together, and we were all like always the best of buddies. One time we were in Indianola, Mississippi, and I played. You've heard of Benny Conway?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I played Benny Conway and on a goofy bar table at this motel, and Benny beats me for like 1,000. I quit him. So Blackie gets there and plays him and just shoots him down like a dog. Boy, Blackie beat him. Blackie played perfect at times. So he got the money back. Benny quit him, and I played Benny some more, and I went ahead and busted him after Blackie weakened him for me. So Blackie got him weak, and I finished him off. So it was kind of funny. The Goose, yeah. We only played at one time. I beat him pretty easily after Blackie got him weak.
Sorry, Chris, go ahead.
Who's the best female player that you ever seen?
For the money, without a doubt, Lori Shampoo.
Was
his ex?
Whenever our Mary Kinnison's on our list of to interview. Is there some questions we should ask her, or is there some we should avoid?
No. Me and Mary are really, really close friends. Ask her about Lori Shampoo, and also ask her about Blackie, New York Blackie, because her Blackie taught her how to play damn near. Yeah, New York Blackie. So make sure you ask her about New York Blackie. And me and Mary are really, really good friends. She's really a character, and she's talked some crazy shit too. Boy, I'll tell you.
Well, tell us what you love about her, because all I know about her, I'm much younger, but is these pictures she's showing. I mean, every picture she shows.
He's got all the history.
Tell us a little about her.
Well, when she was playing good, she ran with Buddy for a long time, and Mary played good for the money. I mean, she played good. She was in the top 5 women players. She might have, when she was playing good, there wasn't that many good women players for one thing. You know, Lori Shampoo and Malukas, but Malukas didn't gamble, you know, and there's a few others that thought they could play but didn't play very good, you know, whatever. But Mary played good for the money. She was a seasoned gambler. I mean, she didn't dog it, I'll tell you that. If you wanted the higher the bet, the better she played. I mean, for her level, she played good for the money, you know. But none of them girls could beat Lori Shampoo, I'll tell you. Lori played hard. She was like 20 years old. I was there in Detroit. Freddie Salem was her boyfriend, who was a millionaire there, and he was, you know, he was in the outfit or whatever you want to call it, and he owned a casino here in Vegas for a while called the Aladdin. But Lori played good for the money, I'll tell you. There was a woman named Geraldine Titcomb that was from Florida, so she flew up to Detroit to play Lori, and I was there. And they're playing like 11-21 for 4,000 or 5,000. And Lori beat her 2 sets like 11-1, 11-2. She never missed a ball. But then a lot of times Red would play her, Cornbread. I hung with him for like a year. Who's one of my favorite people of all times. And me and Red would play her. When Red would play her, I'd take half Red's action, and Red would give her the 7, 8, 9 winner breaks, and he always beat her that way, you know. Because
Why
Red
is his name Cornbread?
Huh?
Why is it Cornbread Red?
I don't really know, although I read his book, which I love his book, and I'm mad at him because when he did the book was after we ran around together. There's not one mention of me in the book, and I picked him up every day at his house for a year. We were really good buddies. I'll tell you how good he played. I did all the playing when him and I ran around together because we was playing mostly bar tables, which I could beat Red on the bar table. But anyway, he never practiced ever, and they had a 5x10 in the pool hall there in the rack. It was pretty shimmed up. A pool player would come to town and play Red. Red never missed a ball in a 5x10, dude. And the guy had more natural ability than anybody ever seen in their life. He was a great player, you know.
What about you? Did you practice?
Never. I bet I haven't practiced 10 hours of my life. I was always trying in action. I never practiced. I never, you know, I don't know why I didn't. No, I couldn't say that. Sometimes before my match, I'd knock the balls around for 15, 20 minutes to get loose. But as far as like going somewhere and practicing for 5 or 6 hours, I've never done that in my life. I probably should have. I probably would have been a better player than I was if I would have, you know, but I didn't take it that serious. I just did it to win the money. I did it to go out with the women, you know, and I'd get lucky, and I'd not say lucky, but I'd go out somewhere and win $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, which was a lot of money back then, as I keep saying. And then I wouldn't play for like a month, you know, because I'd just spend the money. And when I got short of money, I'd be back out, you know. If I would have stayed out, because I was getting a lot of action at one time. I mean, nobody knew, you know, there was 1,000 shortstops I could have beat on that had no idea who I was because there's no cell phones back then. Nobody could find out any information, you know, and I was going by different names for a long time. I went by Charlie Wade and different things like that. So nobody could get a line on your playing, you know, so you could just rob. You could beat somebody in Memphis for $1,000 and they wouldn't know about it in Nashville for like a month, you know, so you had a month to go to Nashville and beat people there, and they had no idea that you just beat everybody in Memphis, you know. I mean, this as an example, you know. But I never practiced. And listen, back then, no American players practiced. I mean, you think how many hours you think McCready practiced in his life? None. You know, Ronnie Allen, McCready, none of those guys practiced. They wanted to drink and go out with the women. That's why everybody played pool back then. You didn't get drunk. You didn't have to go to work. You could sleep all day and go out with the women. That's what the ideal was, you know. But I like the act.
What would bring you off the road? You weren't just on the road for every year or year after year. What would take you off the road?
What happened was the reason I quit playing for a while and I went to California is me and my ex-girlfriend. I can't say her name because she thinks she hates me. So anyway, I can't tell you who that was. I might tell you, I can tell you who it was after we get off the thing. But we were in Florida, and I probably went about, this is like, what year was this? This is like 80, whatever, 84, 85. And I probably won $7,000 or $8,000 going all over Florida, playing all the people. And then I went to some small pool hall. I can't remember the name of the city, a little small, tiny hillbilly pool room in Florida So I go in there and the owner plays, and he says, "You want to play some 9-ball?" I said, "No." I said, "All I play is one pocket." So I beat him out of several $100 playing one pocket, and he was getting kind of mad, I could tell. So he quits, and he says, "I'll play some 9-ball." So, and I was playing good. I was running 8 and out, and I was playing good. Now, wouldn't you know, if I could run 8 and out playing one pocket, wouldn't you assume I played pretty good 9-ball anyway? I mean, if I can run 8 balls in one hole, I can sure run 9 balls in 6 holes. So I'm playing the guy 9-ball, and I've got him a couple $100 stuck, and I'm down shooting the ball, and he takes a piece of chalk and throws it at the cue ball while I was down over the ball, like 100 miles an hour, a big old piece of chalk, and it bounced off, hit the wall. And I said, "Hey, dude," I said, "you couldn't get me in the face with that." And he said, "I don't worry about it." So I said, "All right." So about a half hour later, down on the ball, and he does the same thing, but with the cue ball. It flew by my head 1,000 miles an hour, missed my face like an inch. And I said, "Fuck you," I quit. So excuse my language. So I pulled up and went on down the road like another town. And they said, "Man, you're lucky the guy didn't rob you, because he's known to rob people in that place." So I told my girlfriend, I said, "Listen," I said, "I'm done with this pool for a while." So we got to go to California and just do something different. This was like in late 80s. So I went out there and wound up staying there for several years. You know what I mean? I became a house pro at that Hollywood Athletic Club, and then I had the heart attack. I was in the hospital and did all that. And I actually had a job for 1 year, which was a great job I had at this magazine. I was like the retail distributor. Anyway, California was wonderful. And here's the funny part about it, which people don't know. And like I said, I played pool my whole life, traveled around, made money, got broke, made money. And most of the time when I got broke was not from losing, it's because I wasn't staying in action. It's hard to stay in action, even though whatever, because I didn't like to play cheap. I turned down thousands of people for $20 a game, which if I'd have beat all of them, I'd have had like a big bankroll, but I wanted to play for more money, So anyway, everybody back then, everybody would always say, like pool working people are stupid. They're a bunch of suckers, blah, blah, blah. So I thought the same way. I thought, if you're not a hustler, you're kind of an idiot, right? So I went to California, and I got this job at that magazine working, and I was making, I forgot how much money back. Not much, like $40,000 a year, which wasn't much money for California. But I was being around all these beautiful women, going out after work, going to have a drink. I didn't have to worry about paying my rent. I wouldn't have to worry about staying in practice. And I thought the suckers are the pool players. That's who the suckers are. I'm telling you.
Can't dog it at work.
I'm telling you, but the good thing about playing pool, like you guys have a great personality, and you learn how to manipulate people and how to get along. And because I've been around 1,000 people getting hurt in fights and getting shot and stabbed and everything else, and I've I've been hurt myself a few times, but you learn how to maneuver people around, and make people like you. You know what I mean? So it's a good lesson. It's a good lesson to learn. It's a good way to learn things, But it's a tough life. I tell you, man, it's a tough life to grind. And I laugh at these pool players, and I don't want to mention any names, but there's a couple of guys I know that play pool that are in their 40s that play good, but they better have a plan, because there's only a couple of them that's got any money. Shane's one of them, that knows what they're doing with their cash. And I'm gonna tell you something. You might be playing perfect at 40, 45, and about 10 years down the road, there's gonna be another group of fedders coming up that you can't beat anymore. Now you're screwed, dude. Now what are you gonna do? So you better have a plan, because listen, I'll be 73 in October. I feel like I'm 30, but who would ever believe, I would have lived this long and still trying to make a dollar here and there. If I'd have saved my money, I'd be rich, but of course I didn't, because you don't think it's going to ever end. And when you're young, you think it's never going to end. Well, I got news for you. It ends.
The gambler,